another episode of Culture 8 podcast where we delve into organizational culture's intricate and dynamic world. In this episode of Culture 8 podcast, we are talking with Pramod Sajja, founder of Paramount Software Solutions and Farm to Plate. Welcome to the podcast, Pramod. It's an honor to host you on podcast today. Tell us a little about Farm to Plate and Paramount Software.
Sure, absolutely. First off, thanks, Gaurav. Thanks for having me on your podcast. And, I always love the opportunity to talk about the culture because me, being a first generation immigrant coming from India 26 years back, I believe that I created a company, both the companies, obviously Paramount Software and Farm to Plate, with great culture. So I always, find an opportunity to talk about the culture that we built. And you came in at the right time asking me, when we met at the event, Pramod, what are you doing in terms of your culture? Would you be interested in my podcast? So yeah, I didn't hesitate. I said, yes, absolutely. I would love to. So just a little bit about me. I came into Atlanta 26 years back on H-1B on a working visa, but I didn't work for anyone. I just jumped in to start a company because I was driven with the motivation of becoming an entrepreneur since I was 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So thanks to my wife's support, obviously this year I was married for 25 years. So she's been on my journey all through since I started the company. And most importantly, my brother and sister-in-law who are already here in Atlanta. So with their blessing, I was able to, I had that ecosystem of support wherein I could just jump in. Like H-1B, you have a lot of, you cannot be on your own kind of a thing. But the fact that I was driven with my motivation, with my passion to be an entrepreneur, jumped in and things worked out very good because the Y2K was kicking in like so hard. 98, everyone was talking about Y2K. So it was kind of an easy transition for us to just get in, start the company and then hire the resources to solve the Y2K thing. So that kind of kept us alive for the first 2 years. And then since after then, we grew the company, became global. And most importantly, we helped the hundreds and thousands of H-1B holders, special immigrants like me, realize the American dream because I know how important it is for us immigrants to, when we come here, all the way to realize the American dream by getting a green card, buying a house. So yeah, what I'm proud of so much, especially in terms of Paramount, is the fact that we had our ups and downs. Obviously, every company has to go through that. So we went through the Y2K, we went through the dot-com burst in 2002. Obviously, we all experienced, I guess anyone who's been in the business for more than 10 years would not forget the 2008, 2009, the banking bust, which really impacted everyone a lot. But all through that, we kind of learned our lessons. We went up and down. But yeah, that that I would say, a jewel in my crown, helping other immigrants achieve the American dream. And then Farm to Plate basically is part of a product division. And one of the ethos that we do, it's not just the only product. We have other products. One of it is Incident. We can probably talk about that later. But because you asked about Farm to Plate, every product that Paramount builds as part of our portfolio has to qualify for Tech for Good. So it has to have some kind of an element built into it, which is helping it still is a for profit, but it has to qualify for Tech for Good. It has to do something. A module has to be inbuilt into it, which is helping either a community. It could be helping the planet, whatever it is. Especially with Farm to Plate, there is a module called TIP, and with all the transparency that it provides, basically, for your viewers, for your listeners, Farm to Plate is a blockchain, IoT, and AI and RPA-powered supply chain solution, especially for food and beverage industry. And we've seen the need for it, transparency, and obviously with the regulations that you're seeing be coming from the FDA, FISMA 204, or the European regulations, there has been a huge demand for transparency. Like consumers have been demanding for it.
Right.
And then, and that's how the whole project kind of started, building the product. But the one thing which really drove our team is the TIP module. So TIP is very, very close to me because I come from India. All my ancestors, everyone who comes from India is a farmer at some point in time, the lineage will have the farmer. So we are very close because the whole India's farming community. Yeah. So we started to do our research and we were shocked to find that not much of, the amount that you pay as a consumer very, very small portion of that goes to your farmer. And that's where we thought, okay, why can't we do something wherein, because see, the whole tipping is very prevalent. It's not like I'm reinventing the wheel. It has been there. You go to a restaurant, um, you have a good meal, and you're forced to do a 20% tipping, right? And that basically feeds the whole ecosystem of serving, and the whole hotel industry for that matter, the tipping that goes in, right? So we thought, okay, but no consumer in the US or anywhere, we've never done tip our farmer. We know that they go through the struggles, they're giving us a great product, they're feeding our families. Irrespective of that, we don't tip them because we don't know them. So that's why
Yeah.
we thought, okay, why don't we create something wherein you as a consumer sitting anywhere in the world, you get the whole transparency, you get to learn the journey of your product, you get to learn the journey of your farmer, who especially is bending over backwards by implementing, by adopting regenerative farming or sustainability. So when you love the story, you can go ahead and tip the farmer. So if that
Yeah.
$1, even if it's as small as $1, our platform basically assists, helps the consumer to send the money directly to the farmer.
That's beautiful.
So that basically is inbuilt, tech for good. So everything that we do, has the tech for good inbuilt into it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. And I must say that's such a powerful story about coming in on an H1. I haven't personally faced what the H1 situation might feel like. I came on a L1 visa, but now I'm a US citizen, but I've had friends who talked about the H1 B situations as well. But that's awesome. So if I may step into letting, you've helped my audience to learn a lot about you, but there's something which I would like to understand from you before we dive into organizational culture is what was your very first job?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I've been an entrepreneur for 26 years, but dreamt of it for more than 30 years. The only job I had, be it in the India, the US, is only one job for 6 months. I worked for Ramoji Film City. If you're from South, you'll probably know that. Uh, that's it. I was there for 6 months. So all my professional experience outside of Paramount is only 6 months working for Ramoji Film City. So Ramoji Film City, for those who doesn't know, so Ramoji Rao, who's the founder of Ramoji Film City, so he had this vision, and he's been inspiration for me from the get-go because he's from the same place that I am from. So he has envisioned that any producer who wants to make a movie could just walk into a location with a bag full of money and should walk away with the finished movie. So he wants to make sure that everything is done like a one-stop shop. And
Wow.
that's where he started building Ramoji Film City. And this was like almost 27, 28 years back. And then right now, as of today, he realized his vision. Ramoji Film City is very, very popular. A lot of movies get produced, yeah. So I was part of the purchasing department for 6 months. So that has been my only job, not my first job, my only job,
Oh wow.
all through my career.
Oh wow, that is crazy. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so let's move on to the main topic, organizational culture. So, what are the top three elements that define your organizational culture, and how do these elements influence your company's success?
Sure. So every company has your vision, your mission. It's very common. You're driven as an entrepreneur, as a founder. You're driven by your vision and your mission. So you go through that. But how do you cascade it to every member of your organization, let alone your especially when you're a global company,
Hmm.
um, that's where the real challenge comes in. So we took a four-pronged approach because it's not just about employees, it's not just about your clients, but you have to have an approach in such a way that you're creating a great culture, number one. At the same time, you're making money, because at the end of the day, we are a for profit, so we have to make money. So building that culture, it took a lot of years. So we took a four-pronged approach. I'm going to explain what it basically entails. So the first prong is employees. So employees are very important for any company. So how do we, I mean, it's not just the vision, just reading your vision or your mission during your onboarding is not good enough, because that's not gonna, have the buy-in from your employees. So we started to look at, okay, what can we do in terms of empowering our employees? So, since after COVID, we completely became remote first. Even before that, we were doing hybrid, but since COVID, came in, like we went completely remote first. All our global teams are remote right now. And then we started to cascade something called EOS. Even before that, we were a holacracy. So we are no longer a top-down company. Okay.
Mm.
So which means holacracy is in layman terms, it's flat management. So there is no manager managee, but it's more of a mentor mentee. Okay, so we went there. So we broke down. So that's the first thing that we did. We broke down the silos of top down and we went flat. So that's number one we did. And then we thought, okay, but we have to give them the tools, right? As part of creating the culture, you have to give them the tools. So we've been researching, we found a bunch of them. They're mostly suitable for enterprise level companies, like, be it the GE system or some of those. And then, about 7-8 years back came in this new concept called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. I really loved it because that has been built specially for small, medium businesses, the tools that it provides. In short, basically what it does is EOS will give you the tools empowering your employees, starting with your management team, empowering your employees to think, act, and operate like an entrepreneur. So it will
Right.
give you the flexibility, it will give you the authority to and the accountability to decide and make decisions on the go. So I mean, just imagine if you are an employee of Paramount and your voice is heard, you are given the priority to make decisions, and you're basically cutting down all the communications. Again, this is just one tool. There are 6 tools. So we started off with the top and we went down the lane. So that kind of, empowered everyone. Like, everyone is on the flat management. Everyone is given the accountability and the power to make the decisions, and the communication flows very, very smoothly. So which means like everyone who wants to come work for us, they felt that, oh, wow, this is a great company to work for. So,
Right.
I mean, I remember, I think you're the one, right, who said, Pramod, I've never found a CEO with 5-star rating on Glassdoor. I didn't even know until you mentioned that. So yeah, I mean, different things that you do is going to put you on the map, and everybody
Yes.
starts to like you. So that's the first prong. Now comes the second prong. A company obviously is built serving your clients. So again, same thing. We didn't reinvent the wheel. I went through the AWS day one culture. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but Amazon AWS have reinvented, or I've implemented this day one culture. So basically, it's an operating model where you put your clients at the center of everything you do. So you take decisions by considering your clients' long-term vision, long-term requirements, and for every decision that you take, you're putting them at the center of whatever you do. And then obviously you're bringing in innovation. As a tech company, you're always bringing in innovation, and just following that, I could see that our sales teams, our BD teams, and anyone who is serving a client is kind of uh, invested into it.
Yes.
Right. So that's the second prong. Again, we just copied something which worked for, even though it was for Amazon AWS. I could see that, yeah, this could be applied, not
Exactly.
just in theory. We've
Yeah.
implemented it by following, the process, like US, how we went through all the 6 tools. The same thing with the day one culture. We went through it, we understood it, and we implemented, and we were, I mean, it still is a journey. I mean, I wouldn't say that, yeah, we are very happy and, it ended, because, the culture is always a journey. There is no destination. You're always improving. You're always making those changes and things of that nature. And the third one, which ties the whole community, the whole Paramountians together, be it, our product division or so, is the third prong, which is the community. So when it comes to community, what we realize is not just do it as a CSR activity, because everybody kind of companies come in and say, okay, let's put in 100K, set it, just check mark, give the money to this CSR, corporate social responsibility to this non. No, we went ahead and we embedded that culture into everyone, like involving them and getting them involved as to why we are doing what we are doing in terms of corporate social responsibility, and having them involved. I'll give you a simple example. So there is a nonprofit called Access Life America, which is an Indian-based nonprofit which helps kids with cancer. So they have centers in Mumbai. So when I visited 2 years back, I went ahead and I invited all our employees, whoever is interested. It's not mandatory. A lot of them, chimed in. They all went. We all went. We spent about half a day with these kids who are suffering. I mean, kids all the way from 6 months to 13 years. These are all kids. I mean, you can imagine kids suffering from
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah.
It was a life-changing experience for them. I had people come after that and saying, Pramod, this changed my perspective. This changed the way I look at things. And they were involved in it, right? So even though it was a corporate social responsibility for us, we kind of made sure that their skin is also in the game.
Yeah.
And there's one more great example when the earthquake hit Turkey and Syria, and with the help of Seva International, we did a webinar. We did a webinar to understand like what happened, what's going on, and people on the ground actually joined the call to explain and showcase what is happening in Syria. Because for us sitting here and our team sitting elsewhere outside of, we can't really fathom the intensity, how it impacted people out there, right?
Yes.
So we did a webinar and raised about $20,000. People were like coming in, joining and say, oh, please take $100 from my account, from my salary, So that is the level of commitment that we see. And this is what is basically, when you have a culture built in, not just as a check mark, but, you make sure that, everything is going in with everything that I just mentioned, the first two prongs. And this is the third prong wherein we don't do CSR or our commitment to our community, because communities helped us to grow, right? Me being an immigrant coming here, the whole ecosystem, Georgian ecosystems helped me grow. So it's my job, responsibility, not just as an individual, as a family, but as a company altogether, we have to find a way to give back to the community. So that's the third prong, which is community. And then the last but not the least is we are all part of this planet, and we know that it's getting abused. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the climate change and all that, but we know what's happening. So we all have to come together to contribute whatever we could. You want to become carbon neutral, small steps. You don't have to be part of United Nations sustainable goals, which we are, by the way. But still, whatever you're doing in terms, so we kind of made a conscious effort with all of our employees, coming to all the Paramountains, coming together to say, what can we do to, save the planet? It could be as simple as planting 500 trees
Right.
with our employees. Like, we don't do it as a company, we do it as a community. As Paramountains, we come together and we do it. And then we're also platinum member with Green Business Bureau. So which means, we are heading towards becoming, as a company, as a tech company, we are on the path to become carbon neutral. So with
Wow.
these four prongs, I know I kind of gave you a long answer, but this is what, when you do it step by step,
Right.
you're building the foundation from the ground up. This four-pronged approach has really helped us, because this is how you will not just nobody. I mean, I don't even know what our vision statement is, right? But still, when you go and talk to everyone, any Paramountain, they would say that, yeah, this is what we do in terms of our employees, in terms of our clients, how committed we are to our clients, and then in terms of serving to our community, not just as a CSR activity. And then what can we do as a company, as a team, to save the planet in very small way. So
That is awesome, because I think what you've talked to me about is all the aspects that these are the things that I would like to enable in our customers, in our clients with Ezini. And these are all I don't know if you've read the book Reinventing Organizations by Frederick Lolock,
no,
and but that is exactly these aspects. So you talk about I'm sorry. I don't really believe in empowering people, because this is not we are nobody to empower people. People are people. We create the environment where they can make those decisions themselves, and they become self-managing. That's the number one aspect of Frederick Lalock's framework, is to create self-managing teams, ensure that their wholeness, that they are people. They bring all aspects of themselves into an organization. Don't just have them pretend they're somebody else when they walk into the door of starting to work, right? They bring their sorrows, they bring their joys, they bring their ambitions, they bring their everything on their whole people. And then the last part is the community aspect of it, in which I believe your third prong and even the fourth prong are combined as a community. It's like, what can we do to have an evolutionary purpose to create a great world for everybody, right? So it's beautiful stuff. I love it. And even you gave us, for leaders and for audience who are listening into to this podcast, the right steps of how do you go about getting a great organization culture, how to tie it all together, how to enable them to to be those decision makers, to take care of the company, to take care of the customers, take the success of the company, use the company as the platform for their own purpose.
Yep.
Beautifully said. Awesome. Fantastic. That was a great answer. Let's move on to a little next one is, can you share, and you've got lots of stories, I bet. Can you share a quick example of a recent culture initiative and its impact?
Sure. Yeah. So, um, COVID has taught us a lot of things. The way you look at a company, the way you look at your culture, it kind of, I know, everyone. It's not just, one part of the world, but, COVID changed the mindset
Yeah.
every human on the face of this planet, right? The way we look at things, how we take things for granted, like just like that, it could change.
Yeah.
And then it brought in a lot of challenges, be it, remote work, be it, hybrid work or whatever it is, it brought in a lot of challenges. And most importantly, I think what people have been suffering since after COVID was the mindfulness, right? Everybody realized that, what we went through, especially with 2 years of isolation, no social interaction, that kind of, people started to react in various ways. Like, and
Yes.
companies realized that we as a company, we did it. So since COVID, apart from the health insurance and everything, we started investing into the whole mindfulness. So we did sessions, we signed up with companies, we did the sessions, we did it like monthly sessions, quarterly sessions and all that. Few months back, I realized that no, it's not good enough. And you know why? I know, because I mentioned that we are a remote company, we're a remote first company. So when you have teams joining, let's say if it's a yoga session, right? If it's a yoga session and you have your people coming in and joining in, and they come in just to watch, you cannot just come into yoga retreat or yoga session and not sit on a mat and then just watch. That's not the purpose of a yoga session. And we kind of tried our best to change it. And then the next thing what I observed is that people come with baggage, right? It could be on your professional level, it could be on a personal level. And, they always find, again, the so-called work-life balance. It's very easy to mention it, but, very hard to implement it. And then for a remote company, it's very difficult because you're not in close proximity to exchange that level of communication. But I kind of sensed it, during my meetings, I kind of sensed it that no, it has to go a little more than that. And then we started to reach a lot of these mental health companies. And then we came across a company which started to provide psychiatrist and psychologist sessions. I loved it. I said, apart from everything that we do, so what they suggested is, okay, well, first we have to do a health check, like a mindful check for your company, to see like where you stand, because we don't want to, a one size fit all solution. We'll do that. We said, okay, fine, go ahead and do it. And they came back with monthly sessions, quarterly sessions. So depending on the health of it. On top of it, they will be providing sessions like psychologist sessions, and these are completely confidential. It follows the whole HIPAA regulations. None of that information that you share with your psychologist, psychiatrist is going to come back to us. They don't share it. This was an ultimate success. Like I booked about 100 sessions. More than 50 sessions were observed in the first 30 days.
Wow. Very
And
cool.
then, and on top of it, every call that I go in, we don't ask for it. Oh, who joined, who did? No, I said, okay, are you taking advantage of it? I had people join in, and then they were surprised and shocked to see how it helped them. It could be any problem. It could be a small problem, big problem, personal problem, professional. It doesn't matter. You have, a counseling session, a dedicated. You go in and try to solve your problem. That's as simple as that. So
That's
that
beautiful.
I felt was really worked, and I really have to, because it was my idea, and because most of the ideas come from our teams. Rarely, some ideas, I come up when then we implement it.
Of
But yeah,
course, you're part of the team. You're part of your complete organization is part of the whole, right? So everyone's valuable. It's awesome. I
and I
love that
highly
idea.
suggest this, to everyone, also any other entrepreneurs out there. There are solutions out there. You just have to find the right mindful solution for your company. Do a search. Do your study, and then
Yeah,
they'll give you all that, and then they'll customize those programs for your based on your ranking. So absolutely, I
beautifully
would
said.
say go for it.
I would say even go ahead and experiment and see what works for you and what doesn't, right? You make changes based on what your team is. So awesome. All right, cool. What is one trend you see shaping the future of organization culture?
Uh, I think the one trend is people centric. So, 10 years back to how the culture of a company, how the employee-employee relationship or employees, it was very mechanical. COVID kind of changed all that, call it mindfulness, call it, but it has become more people centric and people want flexibility. Again,
Yes.
I'm not bringing in Gen Z mentality, Gen X, keeping all that aside, I mean, obviously, generations are changing, the mindset is changing, but the one change from a cultural perspective that I'm seeing, which again, every company, not small, medium business or enterprise have to adopt, but they have to have a clear line of communication.
Hmm.
Communicate with your people as to what they want. I'm not saying, everything that they want, you have to implement it, but the
Right.
one change which is really gonna put companies on the map, on the road to success is when you start the communication process and then you become more of a people centric company. So I think this is going to be really, really big. And the reason I know this is because, there was an interview that I was going through. So one of the questions in that was, there's been a lot of change in terms of resources, like global resources, right? People now are struggling with, should it be on-site, 100% on-site? Should it be hybrid or remote? What is your preference?
Hmm.
I felt the question was wrong because it
Hmm.
is stemming from a culture. Like, the question was like, which of this solution is going to build a great culture?
Hmm.
None of the solutions is going to build a great culture because you're looking at it the wrong way. You
Hmm.
first have to build a culture. Okay. It could be, again, there's no right or wrong answer. Just because we went global, we went remote first doesn't mean that it works for every company. So
Right.
you first create a culture of hybrid,
Hmm.
culture of remote, or culture of 100% on-site. So whatever you build, but it has to be driven by first building the culture,
Yes.
understanding, learning. As I said, and I just mentioned that, yeah, listen to your people and then see how it pans out, right?
Yeah.
So that is the problem that everybody is struggling with. Oh, this is not working for me. What do I do? Because you're not listening to your people.
Yep, I love it. It's a whole reason why Zini came into existence is to help organizations create people-centric cultures where their people will thrive. When your people thrive, everything else is a side effects. Your 10x growth, your steady stream of satisfied customers, your powerful expansions, it's all side effects. You take care of your people, you take care of your customers. And that's, I see it when you talk about like your customer centricity, your people centricity, it shows in the way your metrics shows up in Glassdoor and your reviews, your company reviews. They're all 100% because they're all five stars because you take care of it.
Yeah.
You are focused, and so I can see all of that, and I can see a lot of, based on whatever I've learned about organization cultures in the past few years, and or rather actually, past many decades and stuff. I came from that world of waterfall, and then we moved on to the agile aspects of things, and I see what makes life actually work, right? What makes organizations work. So I've had my personal views about this. It's funny you brought it up. Is about like hybrid situations and or remote situations. COVID had nothing on us either. We were 100% remote. We didn't have any situations in working remotely or anything. But the point being that, like you said, listen to your people. Ask them the question. Okay, what does work for you? Do you want to come into office? Because everybody works differently. Everybody has unique needs. What do you want to do? Do you want to come in an office atmosphere, or do you want to come only partially in office atmosphere? You want to work completely remote? All that depends on you. As long as you're working towards the organizational success, to your purpose in life, you can. I, as a company, will provide you the platform that you need. Like talking to Regis to say, hey, anytime I want flexibility in terms of providing offices. So my 5 people will ask for office on Wednesday to Thursday. It's there. You as an organization provide that. Let the people treat people as adults, please. That's just simply as it is. You
I know
give
I've
them.
had people ask this question that, okay, we send surveys out. It's not just, sending a survey, get an answer, but you have to read between the lines. I'll give you a great example. It took many years for us to become, to win the Fortune magazines, best workplaces for women, best workplaces for parents. It didn't happen overnight. We started to listen because we hired like more than 50% women right now. and then not just hiring them. So it's a different ballgame, right? It's not part of our DEI. Obviously it's part of our DEI, but we didn't just look it as checkbox. I kept telling you from the
Yeah.
beginning, it's not a checkbox for us. So the
Yeah.
one thing when we started to talk, right, like the whole HR, we talk a toxic environment, the so-called toxic environment, right? Women, the first complaint that any woman, be it on-site, hybrid, remote, it doesn't matter, they're afraid of toxic environment. So what is a toxic environment? Why do they feel threatened, right?
Mm.
It could be because somebody was using bad language in a meeting, or it could be because, it's complete domination.
Mm.
And or the third one is the most important one, is people raising their voices.
Right.
Okay. So this is what in their mind is what is a toxic environment. Toxic environment is not just about abuse, word. It's not just about that. It's about how
There's
the
several
environment has
aspects.
been created, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what we did is, as a company, we said, okay, let's start to try to understand this from the ground up. So what can we do? Again, obviously with the US, we kind of customize this to suit our company, our culture, and everything. So one of the
Yes.
things what I did as a founder, as an entrepreneur, is that under any circumstances, nobody, whether it's not a male thing, female thing, nobody can raise their voice.
Mm.
Number one. Number two, no condescending behavior.
Mm.
Condescending behavior could be as simple as, like, a senior person coming in and saying, you will have your frustrations, but you have to hold it in. You have to make sure that, because you are a mentor. When you're a senior, you're a mentor. Don't
Mm.
think of it like you're a manager, right? So no shouting, no yelling, and no condescending behavior. And it could be as simple as, oh, you don't even know this much. I thought, you had 10 years of experience. You don't even know this much. You don't
Right.
know what kind of impact it would have on the other person, right?
Exactly. Exactly. But it's beautiful. It's everything you say is awesome. It's that's exactly how it should be. And I love the fact that you're bringing in these controls and these boundaries and context around to people to say this is the leadership's context, or this is the company's ethos, right? This is how we want to be. This is going to be our espoused values and organizational culture. And when you, let's say that you talk about leading by example, they see that that's part of the basic assumptions of the organization. So you're making changes to that. So fantastic. Great stuff. All right. I can say a lot more stuff. I'll move on. What is one piece of advice you would give a leader about fostering a positive organizational culture?
I mean, there are a lot of things. Again, as I said, you just have to learn from what is out there, what work for others.
Mm.
Um, so, I mean, if it is just has to be one piece of advice, if it's a tech company, see, I run a tech company, so I could probably only talk from a tech perspective.
Sure, absolutely.
So listen to your people. Listen, have that means of communication very open. Have it continuously, whether you're remote, whether you're on site. Don't always be driven by your KPIs and KRS. You have to have those. Those are processes in place. Those are
Yeah.
systems in place. Those are measurables. You have to have it, but you have to have a very clear lines of communication. That's number one. Number two, empower your people to think like innovators.
Yeah.
Innovation, innovation, innovation. So this is what is going to survive you as a tech company. So which
Yes.
means, like, it's not just the VP's job, it's not just the product owner's job, it's not just the senior people's job. Everyone from the top to the from the bottom to the top, top to the bottom, everybody has to have those skills, and they have to be given the platform to think and operate like an entrepreneur. So which means innovation has to be at the core of everything that you do, even your
Yeah.
day-to-day activities.
Wow. Yes, exactly. And yeah, you've got to allow them to be able to. It's something, I don't know if you've read this book called Turn the Ship Around. And it's basically about creating that culture where instead of creating leader followers, you're creating leaders. So he gives one example about like how to run the ship and stuff. Or so his subordinates would come and say, instead of saying that, can I do this, captain? So it would say, I intend to do this, captain. And he'll say, yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
fine, because you know exactly, you have all the information out there, so you can make the best decision. You don't have to wait for me to take the decision. You've got control of it. Take care of it. Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you. All right. So on to our rapid fire questions. What book do you recommend the most?
I just finished one a couple of days back. Chop Wood, Carry Water by Joshua Metcalf. Very awesome book. And I first thought, it's only for entrepreneurs, founders and stuff. It doesn't matter what stage you are in. I just started reading the book thinking, oh, it's for startup founders. So let me see what it would do. But I was shocked to see that, I could apply the same thing to my 14-year-old son. I could apply to myself and I could apply to our teams also. So what
Oh,
it basically taught is give you the tools, and each one of us aspire to be great, right?
yes.
Everyone, each one of us, no matter who you are, where you are, you aspire, because that is the easy part. Aspiring to be great is just the most easiest part. So what this book basically talks is that the mundane activities that you plan on doing on a day-to-day basis, wherein you have to chop wood every day. You have to chop wood, you have to carry water. So that's what is the essence of it. And I really loved it. The fact that it tells you what you need to do on a day-to-day basis for you to achieve that greatness. We
I
are, as humans, everybody is empowered to be great. We are
yes.
given the tools. Just being born as humans itself is a great deal. And
Yeah.
we are, each one of us have the ability to be great. It should not just stop at dreaming about it and not doing it. And then how you mimic others, how you follow the other leaders, follow their stories, get inspired. And it did talk a lot about that. But yeah, I thought that was really good. No matter where in your journey you are, you could be a founder, you could be a startup, you could be a guy like me with 26 years of experience running. It doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
love the book. So I would definitely would recommend that to everyone to just go ahead and have it. I mean, if they don't want to read a book, if they have a headway, they could just do the synopsis of it, 15-minute synopsis.
Right. Yeah. No, I love it. And it just reminds me of a conversation I just had with another leader on my podcast. And we talked about the step-by-step process, right? You will get there where your vision is, where your dream is, but it takes step-by-step process. So
Yeah.
awesome. Cool. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
Everyone that who meets me, they think I'm an extrovert, but in fact, I'm not. I'm an introvert. So people find it very, very amusing when I say I'm an introvert. They say, "Oh, you're just saying it for sake of saying." But yeah, I've done a psychological evaluation, not by a psychiatrist or anything, just some tests. It showed me as an introvert. So I am, by definition, an introvert.
I get it, Pramod. I totally understand that aspect of it, and you're not the first leader who said that he's an introvert. The fact is that, guess what? Being entrepreneurs, leaders, and of organizations, we just don't have a choice to be introverts. We have to get out there. We have to get our voice heard and talked about our organization and get our views and vision out there. So
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you. That's an interesting one. How can our listeners connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So yeah, that's the one thing which really positioned me as a good leader is, having accessible to me. I'm talking about my Paramount team. So, the one thing, so if you talk to anyone who's left the company or worked for us in the past, when you ask, okay, what is the one thing that you really loved about me while you worked at Paramount? Resounding answer is promote your availability. You are like on the dot every time, like within 20 minutes. I've never seen this with any founder wherein, even being at the stage you are at, like, within 20 minutes, you're always there, Saturday, Sunday, no matter where you are, you're answering. So I'm very, very easily accessible. So the best way to reach me is through LinkedIn. Just drop in a message. I'm active on LinkedIn. So that would be the best way.
Fantastic. I'm finding a lot of things common with you, Pramod. So that's also one more thing. It's like be reachable and accessible, and that's how it works, right? That's the idea about leaders to be present for their people. So thank you. Well, so here we are, folks. This is another wrap up on our great one another podcast with Pramod. Thank you so much. It's an honor to host you, and I appreciate your conversation and wisdom that you provided. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Yeah, I really loved being on your podcast. And yeah, anything I can do to help to spread the word message, please reach out to me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.